The moment she walked into my office, my entire past came crashing back like a storm I had spent years trying to outrun. For a second, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. The woman standing in front of my desk looked older, a little more tired, and carried a sadness in her eyes that I had never seen before, but there was no doubt about it. It was her. The girl I had loved more than anything when we were teenagers. The girl who had broken my heart without even realizing it. And now, after 15 years of silence, she was standing in front of me again, asking me to fight her divorce. Before we continue, take a moment to support the channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love to change lives, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life. 15 years earlier, back when life felt simpler and dreams felt bigger than the world itself, she had been the brightest part of my days. Her name was Emma. We had met in high school, in a classroom that smelled like chalk dust and old books. She had taken the empty seat next to me during our first week of classes. I still remembered the way sunlight from the window had touched her hair, making it glow like gold. At 16, love didn't feel complicated. It felt pure, unstoppable, and permanent. Emma and I became inseparable. We studied together after school, shared secrets during long walks home, and spent entire afternoons talking about the future. We made promises that felt unbreakable at the time. She wanted to travel the world. I wanted to build something meaningful with my life. And somehow, we believed those dreams would happen side by side. But life rarely follows the plans made by teenagers. Emma's family moved to another city during our final year of school. It happened suddenly, like a page being ripped out of a book before the story was finished. We promised to stay in touch. For a few months, we tried. Letters turned into occasional phone calls. Phone calls slowly turned into silence. Then one day, I heard from a mutual friend that Emma had gotten married. Just like that, the girl who once held my entire heart became a memory I was forced to bury. The years that followed were not easy. I threw myself into work, determined to build something that mattered. Law school became my escape, and eventually my purpose. Helping people fight for justice gave my life direction. But no matter how much time passed, there was always a quiet corner of my heart where Emma still existed, a place I never allowed anyone else to enter. And now, after 15 years, she was sitting across from me in my office. The silence between us felt heavy. Emma looked different from the girl I remembered. Life had carved its marks on her face, but somehow she was still unmistakably the same person. The same eyes, the same quiet strength. But there was something else now. Pain. Not the kind that fades with time, but the kind that grows heavier every year. She had come to my office because I had become one of the best divorce attorneys in the city. My name had built a reputation over the last decade for winning cases that seemed impossible. She knew that. And that was why she was here. Not because of our past. Not because of the love we once shared, but because she needed someone who could help her escape the life she was trapped in. Emma's marriage, as it turned out, was nothing like the fairy tale everyone assumed it had been. Her husband was powerful, wealthy, and well-connected. On the outside, their life looked perfect. Big house, luxury cars, vacations in places most people only dreamed about. But behind closed doors, the truth was darker. Years of control. Years of emotional manipulation. Years of being slowly convinced that her happiness didn't matter. By the time Emma finally decided to leave, her husband had already prepared for war. He had money, influence, lawyers who were known for destroying opponents in court, and he had made one thing very clear to her. If she tried to divorce him, he would make sure she lost everything: her home, her dignity, even custody of their young daughter. That was the moment Emma remembered something from her past. She remembered the quiet boy from high school who once promised her he would become someone strong enough to protect people. So she came looking for me, not knowing whether I would even want to see her again. When she finished explaining everything, the room felt unbearably quiet. 15 years of memories were colliding inside my mind. The girl who once laughed with me under summer skies was now a woman fighting to save her future. Part of me wanted to say no, not out of anger, but because helping her meant reopening a chapter of my life that had never truly closed. But then I saw the photograph she placed gently on my desk. It was a picture of her daughter, a little girl with Emma's eyes and the same hopeful smile I remembered from years ago. That was the moment everything changed. Some fights are bigger than personal history. Some battles deserve to be fought, no matter how complicated the past may be. So I took the case. And from that moment on, everything became a storm. Emma's husband did exactly what he promised. His legal team attacked from every direction. They tried to paint Emma as unstable, irresponsible, and unfit to raise her own child. They dug into every detail of her life, searching for anything that could destroy her credibility. For months, the case consumed everything. Late nights, stacks of documents, court hearings that felt like psychological warfare. But something strange began happening during that time. The more time Emma and I spent working together, the more we remembered the people we used to be, not the broken adults life had shaped us into, but the hopeful teenagers who once believed in endless possibilities. There were moments when we would pause during long strategy meetings and share quiet memories, small things, old-school jokes, forgotten dreams. And slowly something fragile began to rebuild between us. Not the same love we once had, not yet, but something deeper, understanding, forgiveness, trust. Still, the final court hearing approached like a looming storm. Emma's husband was confident he would win. His influence reached deep into the city, and many believed Emma's chances were almost non-existent. But there was one thing he underestimated: the truth. Over the months of investigation, my team had uncovered evidence that changed everything: financial manipulation, hidden accounts, threatening messages, a pattern of control that revealed the reality behind his polished public image. The courtroom was silent the day the verdict was announced. Emma sat beside me, her hands trembling. Across the room, her husband looked calm, certain of his victory. But when the judge began speaking, the atmosphere shifted. The evidence was undeniable. Emma was granted the divorce, full custody of her daughter, and protection from further harassment. For a moment, Emma simply sat there, stunned. 15 years of quiet suffering had finally ended. When we stepped outside the courthouse, sunlight poured across the city streets. Emma looked up at the sky as if she were seeing it clearly for the first time in years. There were tears in her eyes, but this time they weren't tears of pain, they were tears of freedom. Before the story reaches its ending, I want to ask you something from the heart. If this story is touching you so far, please take a moment right now to write in the comments, "Everyone deserves a second chance." Your words might inspire someone who needs hope today. Life slowly began to move forward again after the trial. Emma focused on rebuilding her life and giving her daughter the peaceful home she had always dreamed of. And somehow, despite everything that had happened, she and I found ourselves walking side by side again, not as teenagers chasing impossible dreams, but as two people who had survived life's hardest storms. Months later, on a quiet evening, Emma and I found ourselves walking through a park not far from my office. The air was calm. Children were laughing in the distance. For a long moment, neither of us spoke, because sometimes the most powerful things in life don't need words. Emma's daughter ran ahead of us, chasing pigeons with carefree joy. And for the first time in 15 years, I realized something. The love I once believed I had lost forever hadn't really disappeared. It had simply been waiting for the right moment to return. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. Because sometimes life gives us the most beautiful endings only after we've fought through the hardest beginnings.